Hello friends, welcome hip cats, groovy chicks, and finger poppin' daddies. Welcome to the Jazz Ranch. I have a special song for you that I'm going to be playing and talking about. It's called My Funny Valentine. I know you know this song. It's by Rodgers and Hart. It's one of the great standards in the American Songbook. And there's so many versions of this. Now I'm going to give you my version, but it's a beginner's level pianist version. In other words, if you're a beginner, or even if you're an advanced classical player and you want to learn about popular piano playing or popular jazz style of piano playing, you can learn this from this arrangement. You can download it from my website. Now, I'm going to have a tutorial after I play it, and I'm also going to play a intermediate version and an advanced version, and you can learn about those as well. But I want to concentrate on the beginner level because most people need to learn that. And you will learn the theory of it. This is an arrangement that I wrote specifically for beginner level people or easy piano. So you teachers out there can also learn from this arrangement. So here we go now with a great song by Rodgers and Hart, My Funny Valentine. I want to talk about this first version of My Funny Valentine, which is really the simplest, and it's the one I call the easy spread voicings. Now, let's look at the beginning. Forget the introduction for now, but let's look at the beginning of the melody. So the melody is here in the right hand, just in a single line. So what I want in the left hand now are chords to support the melody, but I don't need three-note chords necessarily. But the first chord I do because I need to define that it's minor, and if I just leave, the root is already there, and if I put it like that, it's going to sound like an E flat 6. I want the root to be on the bottom so that I know what it is, that it's a C minor chord. But then I'm just going to use these open voicings. Now, these spread voicings, this is what I'm doing in this particular arrangement, which is different from just playing block chords. You know, like if I played block chords, it would sound like this. That sounds good, sure, but what I want to do is I want to simplify it in a way in which you really only need to learn the melody in the right hand and then a couple of supporting notes in the left hand, and that makes it easy spread. Now, spread voicings are different from block chords. Block chords are more grouped, you know, building blocks. So you have this, and they're really good for like when you're improvising or you're playing up in the upper register like this, but they're not so good when you're playing the melody here, and the melody starts right on middle C. So how are we going to play a chord there and then play the melody other than doing this? That's not. So I'm going to do this. And now C minor goes to C minor major 7, goes to C minor 7, goes to C minor 6. But I'm doing it by way of lowering the bass note like this. So this is an interesting bass note, and the bass note is probably the second most important thing in a tune. First most important thing is obviously the melody. Second most important thing is the bass note. What's happening in the bass, because it really defines the harmonic movement. What the chord is. Because often the chord is based on what the bass note is, or it's an inversion or a root position of the chord. So if I just took it down to the simplest thing, you would start with just learning the melody. It's not too interesting, right? But with the bass note going in there, now it becomes more interesting. There you have two voices moving against each other, this one rising, this one, in a slower movement, descending. So now if I add just one note of harmony, it's going to improve it. I added that note in there. And always try to put the note in the middle of the space between the two, the bass note and the melody note. And I can play it like this, right on the beat like that, or I can play it against it like this, like that. That gives it a little bit more rhythm because it dictates more of a pulse. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Whereas just putting it on the beat like this doesn't give as much of a feeling of pulse. So this is a nice way to do it. It's a little more complicated to play because you have to coordinate the two hands, but you want to start out just playing the simplest way you can play it to learn it, like this. Just get that much and slowly out of tempo, not even worrying about the count to begin with, and then eventually get it to this. Now here, because I'm going up higher, I have to do something. I just can't be down here. There's too much space. So I always try to close in that space. I try to keep the harmonic nature of the song and the accompaniment of the melody somewhere in the middle range. Or even if I go down low, I want to put something up there, like that. So now this arrangement, which you can download, is simplified in that way. In other words, there's not much going on other than the melody in the right hand and a voicing in the left hand, which is usually just two notes. Now we'll continue. So if you're a beginner and you want to learn this song to serenade your girlfriend or whatever, we want to start with just learning the melody. Now I have this written out for you, but the phrasing of it, of course, is rather simple because it is a ballad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3. You want to always be able to count the rhythm of your melody. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3. Now, if you play it very metrically, you need to understand it metrically in terms of counting, but now if you play it metrically, it's going to sound boring. So you need to phrase it according to the way I'm speaking to you. I would not talk to you like a robot, like this, with everything timed right in the beat. Metric, like a marching band or something. You want to, if you want to learn about phrasing, just check out Frank Sinatra. In other words, listen to singers. Ella Fitzgerald, Sarah Vaughan, singers were great at phrasing and also great musicians. Oscar Peterson, Ahmed Jamal, Bill Evans, all great at phrasing melodies. And a lot of times they don't play the melody literally. I'm playing it pretty much literally the way it was written, and then I'm just phrasing it the way I might feel it. As a jazz pianist, you have the liberty to phrase it any way you like. I could go. I could add notes to it. I could subtract notes. I could change the beats. Give it more of a pulse. There's anything. The abilities are limitless. You can do anything, really. So we have this. Okay, so now let's take it to the next step. Next thing I want you to understand that this is what I call easy spread voicings. Now, that means that it's the harmonies are spread out, mostly over 2 octaves, as opposed to being like in block chord formation. So like, so I have this, I have this. Here I go up to a block chord there, just because I don't want to make you play a 10th. You know, if you're just learning this for the first time, I don't want you to play a 10th yet, unless you're intermediate or advanced. So like I separate it like that. It's just 3 notes, but it's the right notes. It's the root, the flat 5, and the 3rd here. I'm missing the 7th, but that's only because I'm trying to limit it to 3 notes. That's even better. Okay, and then these little fills. So these little fills become like an answer to the theme, right? And then I go. So that's a little answer. And that's a little connecting phrase there. Here's the melody again. Up a 3rd. Then we go up. Now we go up, rise up to here. Now, when I get up to there, I don't want to spread it out, so I'm just going to put now a block chord in there. The F minor chord. The 6th is up here on the melody. There's an A flat minor 6, but I'm just voicing it like this. Assuming, and then I put the bass note in after. So a lot of times you can play just the voicing. So this is A flat minor 6. That's the 6, this is the A flat, and this is the minor 3rd. So this is the root and the minor 3rd. Oh, the cat just jumped off the wall. Okay, here we go. Put the A flat in there now. B flat chord, and now we're into the bridge. I'm going to talk about that for a couple of minutes here. We ended up on the last 2 chords on a B flat 7, which is taking us now to the relative major. So we're in the key of E flat, but in the relative minor, which is C minor. Now we've moved into the major key for this bridge section, and it just has an ascending harmonic line which goes right up the scale tone triads like that in E flat. But I'm just going to use the root and the 3rd to keep it simple. So you have E flat major to F minor 7 to E flat with a G in the bass. That repeats. Now it goes, there's a G7 taking us back to the relative minor, and then like a 2-5-1 into the 4 chord, and then a 2-5-1 back to C minor again. So it's interesting the way we move back and forth between the major key and the relative minor. So let's look at what are the essential different ingredients about the second version or the intermediate version versus the easy one. And just the easy one is more like two notes in the left hand and the melody note, single melody note line in the right hand. Whereas now you're going to have an additional harmony note in the right hand. So we're just adding one more note, plus we're adding some moving inner lines. So you'll hear that. See, now there it is. There's the, so I'm able to fill the chord out better now with four notes. This is what you really want to work towards, is like four notes in the spread voicing. Two in the left hand and two in the right. So the left hand will always play the bass note and a harmony note, and the right hand will always play the melody and a harmony note. So now you can fill it out so you have a full chord. You have a root, you have a melody, you have a third, and you have a seventh. You need to have those four things to have a full sound, and that's all you really need. More than that is just filler. If you have those essential ingredients in the spread voicing, you have a perfect sound. Like this. I can put that in. See, there's the four notes. There's the four. There's the four notes. See the four notes there? Now there's three, but I could add that one. There's our four notes. Four notes. Same thing. Four notes. Four notes. Now here, I can expand it. I can go up there. It's a variety of things. I can do a tenth there like that, and then add these. It's doubling, but it still sounds good. And there I have five notes. So there will be times when I'll want that fifth note. I could do it like that, but I don't have a third in there, so there's the third. I could take this fifth out and have it be that, but it just sounds better. That distribution is a perfect spread voicing. Root, 6, flat 3, 5, and melody note, which is doubling the root actually. Now we'll move into the bridge. Now in the bridge I'm going to do some more complicated things. Like remember in the first version I just had this with a simple triad moving from E flat to F minor to B flat. E flat over G to an F minor and back to E flat. So now I'm going to do something a little more involved. So I'm going to use that voicing. Just there, I'm going to use the 6-9 voicing. Root, third, 6-9. Now I'm going to go down here, put the root down here. Now I'm going to use some movement in the left hand that is going to create interest like this. That's a sus chord there. So I have this moving line, and so I have a line moving against the melody like this. Another line in here, in the right hand. Well, that takes some knowledge of contrapuntal movement. In other words, how voices complement each other in a four-part harmony. So. So there you see there's a lot of movement, voices moving against each other, and that's something you can study on this sheet, and we can do a tutorial just on that subject alone because there's a lot to that, and it takes a certain level of knowledge and information to understand that, but I'd be happy to do another video just on that alone. Now going from there we go pretty much the same. Building, I'm accelerating now. Now, I put a sus chord in there. Now, what does that mean? I'm putting the fourth in there. In other words, there's the 4 chord of the G7, moving to the 4. It's a nice tension chord. To the C minor, then down chromatically to take us to the 4 chord, then continuing. down to the 2 chord, ending up on E flat major. Then I have this little line. That might be a cello line if it was an orchestration. Great thing about this song, and it is in a minor key, so it sounds rather somber, but it is sort of a positive message. But although the lyrics are sort of not complimentary if you check them out, but repeat of the theme now, but going to the 3rd there, same chord changes to the 4 chord, down to the G7, which takes us back to the C minor, then this same progression to go to the 4 chord. We end up in major. So it has sort of a positive feeling at the end. Although there's a lot of this minor, C minor in there, we end up on an E flat, which makes us feel very satisfied in terms of the minor major aspect of things. It ends up in the major key. Okay, I wanted to make this video mostly something for beginners or intermediates and not for advanced, but I wanted to show you what I would do with it in more advanced concepts, and that's covered in previous videos of mine, but a lot of it has to do with arpeggiating in the left hand, getting comfortable with that, and also reharmonization and like all the different things you can do with inner lines. A lot of arpeggios and so on. So we'll talk about that in another video. But for now, let's just try to learn the first 2 versions, which are written out for you. They're free downloads on my website. So we'll wrap up now. All right, signing off from the Jazz Ranch. Thanks so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please write a comment. It keeps me going, gives me encouragement for what I'm doing. And please check out my books for more information about jazz piano. And also I want to encourage you to check out the website link below for Summer Keys, where I teach in the summer. If you want a great summer vacation for a week or 2 in the beautiful coastline of Maine at a great musical resort or camp, whatever you want to call it, and you can study with me privately and meet a lot of musicians and people that have similar interest in music. I have a wonderful time up in Maine. Please check out the link below this video. So signing off from the Jazz Ranch, please write to me and I'll see you next time around. Swing loose. Hermie Dressel's up there, still riding his horse and saying, swing loose. Bye-bye.